Palantir has been on an absolutely wild ride this year, right? The stock is down big this week, and we're talking more than 20% year to date. Just when you think things are settling down, Michael Burry, yeah, the guy from The Big Short, drops a bomb, tweeting that a competitor, Anthropic, is eating their lunch. And boom, the stock tanks. But hold on, because just as the dust is settling, former President Trump goes on Truth Social and praises Palantir's great warfighting capabilities. You just can't make this stuff up. So what in the world is going on here? Is Wall Street completely missing the biggest buy-the-dip opportunity of 2026? Or is this a classic value trap just waiting to snap shut on anyone who dares to buy in? Welcome to Value Vest Daily. Today, we are going to break it all down, the numbers, the narratives, and what's really happening behind the scenes with one of the most polarizing stocks on the entire market. Okay, real quick before we get into the good stuff, our standard disclaimer, you know the drill. Everything you're about to see is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not financial advice. It's not tax advice. Please do your own homework and talk to a professional before making any investment moves. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so let's start with the tweet that lit the match. On April 8th, Michael Burry posts this incendiary and now deleted tweet. He says, the AI company Anthropic is eating Palantir's lunch. Look, when a legend like Michael Burry speaks, a guy who's famous for seeing disasters before anyone else, the market doesn't just listen, it reacts. And his words sent this immediate shockwave of fear, uncertainty, and doubt, what we call FUD, right, through the entire investor community. But then, just 2 days later, we get this powerful counter-narrative from a totally different world. Donald Trump posts this on Truth Social, giving Palantir this huge, full-throated endorsement. He's tying the company directly to national security, to military power. Now, this isn't just random noise, you guys. This is a direct clash. It's Wall Street's competitive analysis versus a geopolitical, military-industrial complex viewpoint. And it's all playing out in real time on our screens. So this brings us right to the heart of the matter, the big question we are tackling today. You've got these two massive forces pulling the stock in completely opposite directions. So who's right? Is this dramatic plunge a golden opportunity to buy a revolutionary high-growth company at a serious discount? Or are Burry's warnings a sign of a fundamental weakness that could absolutely torch investors? We're going to unpack every single piece of it. And here's our game plan. First, we're going to cover the recent battle for Palantir's story. Then we'll do a quick refresher on what Palantir's core mission actually is. After that, we dive deep into the numbers behind their absolutely explosive commercial growth. And then we'll look at the stability of their geopolitical defense moat. We'll pit the bear case directly against the bull case, and then we'll wrap it all up with a potential action plan for you. Okay, Section 1, the battle for Palantir. Let's get a super clear picture of the sequence of events that brought us here, because the last few days have been nothing short of a whirlwind. So let's just rewind the tape. Coming out of last year, Palantir was an absolute rocket ship, trading well above $200 a share. The mood was euphoric. Then bam, April 8th hits. Burry drops that tweet. The very next day, the market hits the panic button. The stock gets hammered, dropping over 7%. You could literally feel the fear. But then, on April 10th, Trump's post lights a fire under the stock, causing this sharp, even if it was brief, intraday rally. It's a classic Wall Street drama, a powerful story clashing with the underlying numbers. Now, this chart right here is likely the smoking gun Burry was pointing at. According to spending data from Ramp, Anthropic is just gobbling up a massive 73% of new enterprise AI spending. See, Burry's argument is that companies like Anthropic, which focus on large language models, that's the tech behind stuff like ChatGPT, are just running circles around Palantir. For a lot of businesses, an LLM is a quick, pretty easy way to build, say, a customer service chatbot. It's a shiny, off-the-shelf solution, and this one data point was enough to spook the market and make people question Palantir's entire reason for being. So to really understand if Burry even has a point, we have to look past the drama and get back to basics. What does Palantir actually do? So in Section 2, let's cover their core mission. Are they really just in the chatbot business? I don't think so. You see, Palantir really has two distinct, massive pillars. First, there's Gotham. This is the OG, the legendary platform built for government, defense, spies. Its roots literally go back to CIA-funded projects to hunt down terrorists after 9/11. This is the hardened, top-secret, mission-critical side of the house. The second pillar is Foundry and their new artificial intelligence platform, or AIP.
You should think of this as a true operating system, but for huge companies. It lets a business, like a giant manufacturer, pull in all of its messy data from everywhere, spreadsheets, factory floors, sales reports, and use AI to make critical, company-altering decisions. These two things are not the same, and that distinction is everything.
Okay, and that brings us to section 3. And folks, this is where the bull case really starts to get exciting. Let's look at the commercial growth explosion and the cold, hard numbers that the bears just seem to be completely ignoring right now. Let's just start at the top. In their last reported quarter, Palantir put up a jaw-dropping 70% year-over-year revenue growth. Now, wait a minute, let that sink in. For a company that's already worth tens of billions of dollars, growing at that speed is like a battleship moving like a jet ski. It's almost unheard of. This is not some tiny startup burning cash. This is an established giant hitting an insane acceleration phase. And here's where it gets really interesting. Where's that growth coming from? Well, if we drill down into their U.S. commercial business, the part of the company that's supposedly getting its lunch eaten by Anthropic, the growth is an even more mind-blowing 137%. This is the engine of the company, and it is screaming. What this tells me is that while other AI companies are fighting for scraps of the general AI pie, Palantir is absolutely dominating its specific high-value niche. And here's the kicker. This is not a one-time fluke. The company itself is guiding for a full-year U.S. commercial growth of 11–15%. Management is basically standing up and telling Wall Street, hey, you know that amazing quarter we just had? That's the new normal. We're going to do it all year long. That kind of confidence, backed by numbers, is exactly what you want to see when there's so much negativity swirling around. So how are they pulling off this insane growth? Well, their secret sauce is something they call AIP bootcamps. And this thing completely flips the old boring enterprise sales model on its head. Instead of endless demos and proposals that take months, they fly potential clients in for an intense week-long session. And during that week, the client brings a real gnarly business problem, like how do we fix our supply chain? And using Palantir's platform, they actually solve it. Not in theory, not in months, but right there in days. And the result? A staggering 80–90% of these bootcamps turn into huge paid contracts. It's an unbelievable sales model. And finally, check this out. The Rule of 40 is a key health metric for any software company. It's simple. You add their revenue growth rate to their profit margin. If the score is over 40, that's considered excellent. It means you're growing fast without burning all your cash. It's basically the gold standard. Well, Palantir's score is around 127. That is not just excellent, that's truly elite territory. It puts them in a class with the best software companies on the planet. So let's shift gears to section 4. We've talked about the explosive commercial side, but now let's look at the other pillar of the company, that geopolitical defense moat. This is the foundation, the bedrock that provides stability and resilience, something that a pure commercial player just doesn't have. Here's why that government business is so sticky. Project Maven, their AI warfare project, is now an official program of record at the Pentagon. Now, for an investor, that phrase is music to your ears. It means it's not some trial run, it's a line item in the national defense budget, it's funded, it's long-term, it's baked into our military's core infrastructure. Their tech is battle-tested. These contracts last for years, and almost nobody leaves. And in a world that seems to be getting crazier by the day, all that risk actually acts as a tailwind for Palantir. The more unstable the world gets, the more people need what they sell. Okay, so we've seen the bull case, and it is compelling. But to make a smart decision, we have to look the bear arguments right in the eye. So, Section 5, Bears versus Bull Reality. Let's tackle the worries about valuation and competition head on. So let's lay it out side by side. The bear case. First, the valuation is sky high. A forward PE over 100 is no joke. That is a legit concern. For the stock to go up from here, they have to be perfect. The bull rebuttal? You can't value a company with a Rule of 40 score of 127 like a normal business. You're paying a premium for elite growth. Second, competition. And Burry's not totally wrong. If all you need is a simple chatbot, Anthropic is a great choice. But the bull case says they're not even playing the same sport. An LMM is like a calculator. It's a great tool for one specific job. Palantir is the entire accounting department. It's the central nervous system that connects to all of a company's messy old data and lets them make real decisions. It's a much deeper, stickier product. And finally, the risk of a growth slowdown. This is the big one. If that 100+% growth slows down, the high valuation will get hammered. But bulls will point right back to that 80–90% bootcamp conversion rate and say this growth engine has a very, very long way to go. So, after weighing all of that, what's the bottom line? This brings us to our last section, the investor's action plan. Based on everything we've seen, here's a potential way to think about the stock if you're a long-term investor looking at all this volatility. Now, again, this is not financial advice, but a possible approach is to scale in slowly. Given that this sell-off is driven by fear, you might consider starting a small position on this weakness, especially with the stock below $125. If the panic continues and the price drops even more, say under $110, that could be a chance to add more at an even better price. But, and this is so important, you have to manage your risk. This is not an all-in kind of stock. Given how volatile it is, keeping your position size to a sane 2 to 5% of your total portfolio is just a smart move. And finally, the next big thing to watch is their Q1 earnings report in early May. That's when we get the next batch of real data that will either prove the bulls right or give the bears more ammo. Look, this is a complicated story with really strong arguments on both sides. Right now, the market is pricing in a whole lot of fear, but at the same time, the company's actual business numbers are showing incredible strength. So the question is, who do you believe? Do you believe Burry's competitive analysis or Trump's geopolitical endorsement? The scary story or the incredible numbers? I really want to know what you think. What's your price target for Palantir? Drop it in the comments below. I promise I read every single one. If you got any value out of this deep dive today and you're trying to find those amazing opportunities where AI and defense meet, do me a huge favor and just smash that like button. It really does help the channel grow. And make sure you are subscribed to ValueVest Daily for more daily learning opportunities to help you put your money to work. And one more thing before you go, what stock should we break down next? If there is a specific high-risk, high-reward company you want us to give this same deep dive treatment to, let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.